I'm going to work with this program a little bit more. So in the previous videos, we created a broadcast and receive example where we have Scratchy meeting this penguin, and you click the flag and they talk to each other, and we're using the broadcast receive blocks to get that communication across to them. So a couple more things to talk about here. We learned how to create our own blocks. And so things that I changed, just a couple of things since the last video, was I started putting some comments in. It's a really good idea to comment all your blocks so that you know what's going on. This little script area can get pretty messy pretty quickly. The other thing I did was I didn't like that the penguin usually ended facing the wrong way, and I wanted him to face towards Scratchy when they were talking, and I just wasn't quite sure where to put it. But then I thought about it a little bit more. So if you look in the penguin script, when he receives his first conversational thing, he gets this broadcast hello penguin that he's searching on and waiting for. So when he gets that hello penguin, that's when I switch him to be looking left. So then it won't matter how the script starts. It's whenever he's spoken to first, he'll turn and face left. So there's that. Okay, so I want to just kind of expand, whoops, there he goes, expand a little on what we can do with this program. So we have this idea in Scratch and in most languages of variables, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So if you click on the data script area, these blocks, there's two things here: make a variable, make a list. So over this video, I'm going to talk about make a variable. List is a little bit more of an advanced topic, and we'll talk about that at a later date. But to make a variable, first you have to know what a variable is. And variables are very much like what you see in algebra. So if I don't know a value, I'll call it x or some other variable name, and then I'll do a calculation and maybe decide, this is what x is. So when we talk about variables in coding, it's the same kind of idea. So you click on make a variable and it says give the variable a name. And I'm going to call this my name. Oops, my name. You can call it whatever you like, it's fine. And then there's some choices here. There's a for all sprites, which I believe is the default, and then there's for this sprite only. So if you were to click for this sprite only, I believe what happens is this variable is very private just to this sprite that you're working on. So in my case, I'm working on Scratchy. So he's the only one that could see or use this variable. But if I click for all sprites, it's more of a public variable and all the sprites can see it. So it can be another way besides using the broadcast receive blocks to communicate or share data between the different sprites. Now under here it says cloud variable stored on server. I guess Scratch will allow you to store your variables on the server. When I looked that up, it said something about you can't be a new Scratcher, which then I looked up what that meant, and it wasn't 100% clear to me what that meant, but I know I am a new Scratcher, so I am not going to mess with putting stuff on the clouds. I think you have to be active and contribute to the community and things like that to get that privilege, but we're new, so we're going to pretend that doesn't exist. And I'm just going to say for all sprites for this. Okay, so what I see immediately is here's the thing called my name, and it's orange like all the data blocks, and there's a check mark here. And the check mark means make it visible. So here it is, my name, and it has just a default value of 0. As near as I can tell, when you make variables in Scratch, you don't tell it what kind of variable it is. That is it a number? Is it a string of characters? It looks like you don't have to give it a specific type or sort of variable. But this little check here says when you show it or don't show it. So if I uncheck that, you can't see it. And there are cases where in your program, in your project, you may want to have this visible. So maybe if this was a score, you're playing a game and you wanted to keep a score, maybe this variable is something you'd want to be visible. It's an excellent thing to keep visible when you're debugging your program. That is when you're first writing it and you're looking for mistakes or errors. So for now, I'm going to keep it shown because I want to see what's in there as I run my program. So this is a variable that can be used now. So how would I use this? I'm just going to do a semi-silly example here, which is I'm going to have Scratchy ask the penguin, well, what's your name? So that he knows what to call him. So I believe it's under sensing. There's an ask block, and I'm going to put that in my start activities. So instead of, it says hello penguin. So I'm going to put a what's your name, and I can change that to be something more friendly. what can I call you? So you can change whatever text you want. And then it waits, and what it's waiting for is this answer. And so it's kind of a default variable there. And you can click this to kind of see as you're testing and running what it is. So it's asking that question. I'm going to move this over a little bit to get more space. It's asking that question. So when somebody answers it, you can put this in a into this variable, the answer that they said. So now I have to remember where that comes from. I think it's here. Yeah. So I am going to set my name to whatever they answer here. So if my name wasn't already there, you can click and choose which variable you'd like. But then how do I get the answer there? So I'm going to go back to sensing. So when it says what's your name, it's going to store it in this thing called answer. And you can actually slide it over here, set my name to, and I can just lay it right on top. And so whatever they type in, it's going to put that into my name. And then I can change or create another little message. So, whoops, yeah, I'm going to have it say, over here, I want it to say hello and then the name. So the way this is now, it's like, well, hello, how do I say hello, whatever they type in? So under operators, I believe, yes, there is a join little function that it does. So what this does is it takes two strings and it puts them together. So if I take this join and I plop it under this say hello, well, I don't want it to say hello world. I want to say hello to my friend now by his name. So you can take whatever you want to say there. You can change this. So I'm going to say hi there. And then I'm going to put a little comma. And then I'm going to put a space here, and I'll tell you why in a second. And I want to say my name. So I'm going to go back to the data, and I'm going to put this my name right there. And so it should take, the answer gets stored in the my name variable, and now I can use that variable in other places. Now I'm using it here to add to a string called hi there, or has the value hi there, with the name. So we've got the little blocks up here showing what the variables are. So if I click go, and again, I don't know if I did it 100% right. We'll see if I made any mistakes. So hello penguin, what can I call you? Now here's a little place for a user, so we're kind of pretending we're penguin right now, to type in a name. So let's see, what should we call our penguin? I'm going to call the penguin Polly. Type that in, you hit this little check mark. When I hit the check mark, that means that this wait here is over. It's going to automatically put what I type into answer. So should we see something showing up here, it's going to put the answer into the my name variable. So it's going to be really quick. You won't tell what order it is, but I should see it go here, and then I should see him say, Scratchy saying hi there with the name. Let's see if we get there. So if I press check, so it did. It's put the answer into Polly. It put my name as Polly, and it just flew by, but it did say hi there, Polly, and then it continued on with our program. So it's pretty neat. So you learned a few things here, how to use a variable. Now at this point, maybe I don't want to see that, and maybe I don't want to see the answer, and I can uncheck these things, and then when I run this, I don't see that anymore. And you can change the name. Maybe it's a different name. So variables can be different values. They don't have to just be whatever it is you first typed in. And that's the whole point. You can change them over time, depending on what you want your program to do. Now here's a thing to worry about a little bit, and I'm going to put my answer and the variable I created back on. What if I am a sneaky person? And what if it's like, yeah, I don't want you to know my name, and I'm not going to type anything, and I'm just going to press the check mark. So Scratch is good enough not to break, but I don't know if you saw it, and I can run it again and maybe stop it. Yep, okay. If I run it again, and let me see if I'm good at stopping things. Well, I'm not, but it says hi there with a comma and then nothing. And that's not very good. You don't want it to say nothing. So you always have to kind of think about what might the user do and how can you anticipate what they're going to do so that your program's ready for anything. So we have some more control statements, and I want to talk about one of them. Now, we've seen some of these loops, and you sort of figured them out because you're all so smart. You can repeat things a certain number of times. You can do things forever. But I want to look at this if-then statement here, this control statement. So I'm going to take this if-then, and that's not what I want. I want these to be outside the if then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the answer first to see if it was good or not, and then do something based on that. Now there's an if then, and what that does is if some condition is true, then it will run whatever I put in this block, and then it will continue down here. Now there's another kind of if then called the if then else. So if something is true, you do this stuff right immediately. Else, meaning if the thing that you are testing is not true, it will do some other code before it continues on. So you can have a little bit of complexity there. I think for this one, I only need the if then, because what I'm going to do is, and I have to remember where that comes from. I think it's here. And I'm wrong. I don't know where everything is yet. Oh, here it is. I want to set my name to a value if they don't put a good one in. So how do I tell it what to check? So I believe here I go to the operators. And if there's these things in kind of these diamondy sort of, those hexagons shape here. So this one is a less than, an equal, and a greater than. So I'm going to take an equal. So I'm going to say if my name, because my name now holds the value of the answer. So I'm clicking back to data. I'm going to make another instance of this my name. So if my name, it lets me, here it is, equals, well, equals what? Equals nothing, meaning they didn't type anything in. If they do that, what do I want it to be? So I'm just going to make some default name. So maybe we just call him Penguin. If he doesn't type something in, we're just going to call him Penguin. And that way we won't get this blank. So now my name is set either way. Either my name is set because the answer had a value, but if it didn't have a value, it's going to be set to this default value. And so when I come through to here, my name is guaranteed to have some sort of value so that it's not that weird looking blank thing. So let me try this again. So if I start this, hello Penguin, and what can I call you now? Now I'm just going to hit the check mark again. I'm not going to say anything. So what should happen is that the if becomes true, and it's going to set my name to Penguin. So you can look up here. You'll see the answer will be blank, and then my name will come to Penguin. So I'm going to hit this. Hi there, Penguin. So it's using the default name before it continues on. So again, it's just one example of how you can use if-thens. But these can be very powerful because there's all kinds of tests you can do depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish. So that kind of shows us some of these other control statements. So there's a lot of cool things in here. And so I just wanted to know about if and then if then else. So you could have also done something else if you wanted to. Okay, so I should probably put some comments in here. And so I'm going to put it on this if block because it's adding complexity. And you want to make sure that if you look at this 6 months from now, 5 years from now, you know what's going on. So you want to check to see if a name was entered. And then if not, supply a default value. And that way anybody looking at this can understand what the code is trying to do. Okay, I think that's all I want to say on this particular video. I am going to turn this stuff off, right? I don't want to see the answer, right? And I don't want to see the data. So these data values exist now, they're just not there. So again, one last run. If I press green, hello Penguin. What can I call you? We'll call it Paula this time. Hey there, Paula. And we can continue on with a little conversation and their little dance when they're done. Okay, thanks for watching.